ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? You are now tuned in to the best show in SimWorld Hoops or SimWorld history. I am on the road. You know what it is. It's Blazing Tech. Go ahead and turn your dial up because it's about to go down. I'm Rick Blazing. Of course, I'm joined by none other than my guy Siege, who's in the booth. How we doing, brother?
We're doing good. A little bakery next door to the production studio actually dropped off some cakes this morning, so got some free snacks, and we're ready to ride. We're ready to ride.
Nice. I'm over here. I'm in these streets literally because I'm passing by now. You can hear a door closing and behind me. We live, baby. We doing this thing live. So let's go ahead and get this thing started, Siege.
All right, Rick. So I got some. We talk about commitment craze. We've been talking about commitment craze for the past week at least, if not more.
Yep.
So let's talk about it a little more as it's kind of slowing down, coming to a close. A lot of the big names are gone. I want to talk about what players do you think best improved their stock for this upcoming season based on the team that they're on, and on the opposite side, what players either didn't improve their stock at all, or maybe even had their stock decline.
Okay, so I'll go with the best, and then I'll let you give your best, and we'll go with the worst. All right. The first person that comes to mind as far as improving the best is easy. Royce Anderson. I mean, my man, he finally gets a chance to do his thing. Finally gets a chance to shine. He has the ultimate green light. I mean, Royce Anderson has to feel really good about his. If there was one player that was hoping that Dylan Harper didn't come to their team, it was probably Royce damn Anderson. Like, I'm good over here, boss. I don't need nobody. I'll be taking nothing I got going over here. Y'all go ahead and stay over there. Dylan, I don't want to see your face. So Royce Anderson is a person I think that first person comes to mind. The second person that comes to mind, believe it or not, is Bernard James.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he needed a change of scenery. I think he has a coach. Here's what I say: you don't go out and get a Bernard James unless you want a Bernard James. You feel if that makes sense? Like,
yeah.
And everything that comes with that. So I think the coach embraces and his personality and what he brings on the court, and I think him and the coach are going to be lockstep with the situation. So whether it's for bad or for worse for Heartland, we're only going to see. I have no idea. I think however it pans out this year for him and the coach are going to be in lockstep with whatever it is. So I think those two people are the first people to come to mind. I think they improve their status here in SimWorld with the team that they chose to join this season.
All right. Well, for me, I think I got two as well. My first one, it's a bigger name. And this might be kind of a hot take. I know some people might think his stock kind of didn't really change because of this move, but I'm going to go with Cole Webb. I really like the move for him. Do I necessarily think that Showtime has a better roster around him? That I think that's really up for debate. If their roster is better than Oceania's last year, I think on paper probably a little bit. But for me, what he did with his stock, when we talk about, if I'm talking stock, I'm kind of thinking college recruiting. People seeing you, getting your name out there. Showtime gets a lot more televised games, a lot more broadcasted games on SimWorld TV. He's in LA. He is going to have the brightest spotlight on him that he has ever had. Last year, we heard about Cole Webb because he was a hooper, but he was all the way down there in Oceania. So we heard about him because he was good, but this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to hear about him all the time. He's going to be in the headlines. And if he can improve his game or even really stay the same, those college scouts are going to come see him often. So for me, Cole Webb is an easy one to me. My second one is going to be a little bit more kind of low-key. I really like the move that Suno Chapa made for himself. Gulf Coast, they loaded that roster up. They got a lot of new recruits. They did lose De'Aaron Cruz, but they added Kai Killens, Carson Cutbirth, a few other recruits. They got some guys returning. So for me, I like the move. One, similar to Benari, he gets that fresh start. Two, he's going to a team that's roster is completely rebuilt. He if he takes the reins, he can be the leader of that team. Him and DJ Davis were kind of the big talk, but he's a guy who's been in SimWorld Prep already. He knows what it takes. Last year, he kind of was somewhat in De'Aaron Cruz's shadow, although towards the end of the season, he kind of was the guy for them. He was kind of the guy that people looked to when they talked about Gulf Coast because De'Aaron Cruz was underperforming. Right. So I really like that move for Suno Chapa. I think he's going to get a little bit more of a spotlight this year, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
That's good. Those are, you know what? Those are really two good answers. I don't even have a pushback on those. I think
we killed that segment. We killed that.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. All right, so now let's go to the other side. What player do you think, or players you think, kind of didn't do themselves any favor? We're not gonna say they hurt their stock, but they didn't increase their stock by joining or being at whatever team they are currently.
The very first one that comes to mind, and I've got a lot of reasons for why I'm gonna say this, that at best he kept his stock stagnant, is the dunk god Kevon Jackson. Kevon Jackson, great player. I really like what he can do on the court. For me, there's a few reasons. One, he got away from Japheth Towns and reigning Trays, was thinking about wanting to be a number one. At first, it was he's going to go to the Yacht Club, be a number one. Then he ended up going to Cascadia. Well, Cascadia brought in Tyree Wells, who is the assumably the number one on that team, based on the hype and what we've seen from him. And then
he's definitely number one on that team.
You've even got Daniel Irvin, who we haven't seen him play yet, but there's a chance that he could kind of, him and Kevon could be that 2A and 2B. Like one of them could be the number two guy on one night, one could be the number two guy on another night. So for me, he didn't really get to a situation where he's gonna get to be the guy again, or at all. So I don't understand that. And two, I think this one's obvious. If everyone thinks back to the race to one last year, he announced he was leaving in the middle of the race to one. Said Yacht Club, then said Cascadia, then said, maybe back to Reigning Trays, then skipped across town to Cascadia. For me, if I'm looking at, him in the future, do I want him on my team? I'm kind of thinking, I don't know. I kind of want a guy who knows what he does and wants to play for a team and isn't kind of who's going to take me at this point. So for me, that's the first one that comes to my mind for sure.
Hey, that's a really good one. I agree with you 1,000%. He either made a lateral move or downgraded slightly.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as his personal percentages and stats and numbers goes, it was either lateral or a slight downgrade. I'm going to double down a little bit, and I'm going to say everybody not named Trey Hyman on Bay Area Breakers.
Yeah.
Everybody not named Trey Hyman on Bay Area Breakers, just especially if you're 17, meaning this is your last year in SimWorld Prep. I don't. Hey, let me start by saying this. I have to give credit where credit is due. Many shouts out to Coach Pope, who is a recruiting god. Apparently, we just talked about the dunk guard. Kevon Jackson. Now we're talking about the recruit guard, Coach Pope, because he manages to get those players to come to his team regardless of how stacked they are. But let me be clear: the only person that has the pathway to really do his thing this season, uninterrupted, uninhibited by anybody or anything, is Trey Hyman. Everybody else, you are in some sort of pecking order, and on any given night, you can or cannot be called upon.
And you know what, Rick? What you're saying, I agree with. And actually, I know this is supposed to be a debate show, but we're bouncing off each other. That brings up another guy for me that I think, if anything, maybe downgraded his stock. But it's interesting because this is a guy who didn't really play the second half of the season. Xavier Pope, I thought it was a really interesting move to head to the Yacht Club. Because you're mentioning with Bay Area, that loaded roster, they got all those guys. Well, he just went to a team that had a lot of guys. They got a lot of guys. You got De'Aaron Cruz. They got Florida's Mr. Basketball, Koya Monroe. And Xavier Pope has the talent to be a top 5 guy in the league. But last year, he didn't quite get so many minutes because of the team, Caden Shipp, Royce Anderson, whoever else, Trey Hyman. But he's supremely talented, arguably the best player of those guys. And he went to a team that has a lot of guys, De'Aaron Cruz and Koya Monroe, to name two. But then you also got Tyshawn Ism, you got Trey Willis, you got Tamir Johnson. It's just I didn't really understand that move to go from one loaded team to another.
He's at Bay Area South.
Yep.
That's just Bay Area South. That's what else was going on. We got Bay Area West, and then Young Cliff is Bay Area South. So yeah, so he transferred from Bay Area West to Bay Area South. So I guess he kept the Bay Area part the same.
Yeah, that he did.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Rick.
All right, next subject.
Since we're talking about players and who can do what, I got something, and it's actually fan requested yesterday, so we thought we would throw him a little bone here. I want you to name 3 guys who you believe have the it factor in SimWorld Prep. Now, we're not talking talent. We're not talking they're the best player on the floor all the time. But 3 guys who have that it factor, the X factor, whatever you want to call it.
This is so hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Because what you don't know when you're talking about the it factor, you can't judge people's. You can't judge them on the inside. I can't judge your heart. I can't judge your intensity. I can't judge your focus. I can't judge your determination. I can't see any of those things. People forget Michael Jordan was cut from his freshman basketball team. Not he rolled the bench. No. He got cut.
He was cut. Yeah.
He was cut. He didn't make the squad.
They didn't want him.
They didn't want him. But what the coach didn't know was his determination. Well, him growing 4 inches over the summer helped too. Yeah. But what the coaches didn't know was his heart and determination to become better. So when you're talking about the it factor, I thought about doing a much longer conversation about this because it's not cut and dry. So I'm going to say this. It's very difficult to determine the it factor. It has to be because you can only judge what you see on the court. You can't judge what the person has inside of them because you don't know that information. So I'm going to gracefully bow out right now with giving a person or persons. I want to think about it and maybe do a little long a session just on that. And I'm gonna pass this move over to Jerry, as they would say. I'm gonna pass the move over to Siege, and I want Siege to give me who he thinks has the impact. I've never bowed out from a topic before in my life, but I'm just gonna table it for it. I'm gonna table my answer for a moment. And I'm gonna let Siege take the floor because it's such a, to me, it's such a more encompassing issue than just something I can answer in about 30 seconds.
All right. So I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. And so I do want to say right now that this is not who I think is the most talented. If you got left off this list, doesn't mean I think you're a bad basketball player. But first name that comes to mind for me when we talk about it factor, Samuel Bogus. They call him Big Shot Bog. He can do a lot on the court. He always seems to show up in big moments. So for me, he's got it. He's got an it factor to me.
Okay.
Another guy, and this is interesting because a lot of times when you talk about an it factor, you think of the offensive side. You think of hitting timely buckets, things like that. But another guy who has an it factor, or I would call him an X factor for his team, which to me is adjacent to a guy who has the it factor, is Isaiah James for Beast of the East. The intensity he brings when he steps on the floor ignites the entire team. He's kind of one of those guys that everyone steps up their defensive game as soon as he gets out there. So he's my second one. And then for a third, I'm trying to stay away from the superstars of the league, but I think for the third, I'm going to have to go with, this is kind of my guy I really like, and I think he has that it factor. For me, just he makes it look easy, and to me, that's kind of the it factor you see when you look at Luka Doncic. Yes, it's talent, but it's also that he just makes it look easy, and for me, that's Japhet Towns.
I can agree with you, man. He's the only person that without me going into depth, I could say his name and be comfortable with that. Yes, Japhet Towns, 100%.
He's one of those guys, and look, we have a lot of talented players, but there's only maybe a handful of guys who right now I can tell you with confidence they will have a pro basketball career, and Japhet Towns is one of them.
Yes.
He's a step ahead. He's a step ahead of where everyone else is right now in terms of his talent and the way he plays the game. So that's my three that I'm going to go with off the top of my head.
I like it. The other two, I'm not even going to rebuttal the other two, but the Japhet Towns one is one for sure for me. I say this. If he was a little more athletic, he would be Tracy McGrady.
I like that.
If he had more athleticism, That's the only thing keeping. He would be a Tracy McGrady comp. I mean, he has that much talent. He makes the game look that much easy when he plays. He does things on the court. No one ever. He's never shook. He's never rattled. It's the same Japheth Towns, smooth as a baby's bottom every single time. So Japheth Towns, I agree with that 1,000,000%. I like that answer.
Well, that's my three.
There's probably more, but
There are more. There are more it factor guys.
That answer there is 10 out of 10, not questioning. We're not even debating that. Japheth Towns for freaking sure. He's an it factor for
He's
sure.
him. He is him. He is him.
You know what? Another person's come to mind, and I'm gonna stop right here because I need to get more in depth. I say Japheth Towns, and the next person came to mind is Kasim Porter Jr.
I like that. He was one of the next ones. I didn't want to do two Beasts of the East.
I saw it last year, and I called him out early on it last year. He has that it factor. So Kasim Porter Jr. and Japheth Towns would be my two. For sure, without a doubt. I'm not even going back and forth with nobody about those two guys for sure for me. I like it. Really, very good, very good, very good.
I can live with that.
All right.
Hey, Coach Drayton, you hear that? We named two Beasts of the East players. I know you're talking about how Beasts of the East get no media attention. I don't disagree, but here we are giving you your shouts. Coach Drayton, Beasts of the East, two it factor players made our list today.
But you did mention Isaiah James, huh? He did get two shout outs. See, Coach, we don't talk about what we're gonna talk about who we talking about before we talk about him. So I know that's a lot, right? So I have no idea what he was going to say before he says what the point I'm getting at. So yeah. Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, our last segment of the day, a pick and roll segment. Oh, I pick a topic and then Siege roll with it. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. And he doesn't know this, and he's about to know it right now. Siege, I'm going to let you roll. I'm going to let you own the pick and roll today. You pick whatever you want to pick. It's on the spot right now, and I'm going to answer it right now on the spot. I'm at the roll with whatever you say on the spot. He wasn't preview of this, ladies and gentlemen.
I was not. This is like a roll and roll, Rick. You got me rolling for the pick. All right. Let's go a little off topic here. Let's go a little not off topic, but let's delve into something we don't really talk about here in SimWorld Prep or ever on the show. Right now, who's your Rick? Are you happen to follow football? You an NFL guy? Yeah. You follow? All right, just making sure. Yeah. Super Bowl pick right now. What's the matchup? Who's the winner? What do you got? If you have to pick right now.
Ooh, that's good. I'm going to say, I know Philly looked bad. Yesterday. They looked real bad yesterday. I'm going to say 49ers. And I'm going to say, that's a good question to put me on the spot. 49ers and the other team on the division. Chiefs.
All right, and who do you got winning? Who takes that?
I don't bet against. Kind of like how when Tom Brady play, you don't bet against Brady. I don't bet against Pat Mahomes.
I feel that. So I
just don't bet against Pat.
You don't. I did the same thing with LeBron. I don't bet against LeBron. I won't bet against
Miami. You gotta watch out for it too, though. Yep. Oh, you gotta watch out for them fans. If they stay healthy, they can be dangerous.
Yep. And so I'll give my answer too on that. I'll roll with it. Fins are actually my pick. There's a little bias there. I'm a Fins fan, always have been. So that's my pick there. I also have the 49ers, but I'm taking Tyreek Hill takes Miami, makes him a champion. That's my pick.
Oh, wait, is it possible to have the fans versus Chiefs?
It is not. Both AFC teams. Yeah, they'll probably play in the AFC Championship.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you got Fins versus Niners, and I got Niners versus Chiefs.
All right.
But neither one picked the Niners to win. So there you have it, folks. Place your bets now. Put it in the Discord. Let's custom discuss who you think has the it factor. Or we're going to talk about what players you believe made the best decision with the team that they choose, or what players you believe maybe didn't make the best decision based on the decision that they made. So let's talk about it. Let's custom discuss. Hey, for Siege, I'm with Blaze, man. We see y'all tomorrow. We out.